Hey, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of Wednesday Whine with Ana Belaval from Chicago, Illinois. This today is going to be recorded because the friend that joins me today happens to be the main anchor for Univision News, and it broadcasts from Miami. So when Ilia Calderon goes live on Wednesdays, she goes live exactly when I am celebrating my happy hour with you. So while she's being serious and giving the news, I am having wine with you folks. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week. So far, so good here in Chicago. But I just finished this amazing memoir by Ilia Calderon. In Spanish, it's called Es Mi Turno, but she wrote it in English too. And it's called My Time to Speak. I've never met Ilia personally, but we have worked with the same mentors and the same wonderful people. And if you see Ilia, she's a gorgeous Afro Latina woman, and she happens to have broken many barriers. What's really interesting is that when you read this memoir, it's that it took Ilia a very long time to come to terms with the fact that she was breaking these barriers, and she needed to highlight her successes because of being Afro-Latina and breaking those barriers. I tend to say that she went from not wanting to talk to it at all and about it at all to then facing the head of the KKK in the United States and interviewing him. Quite the shock treatment that she did for herself. I want to introduce her to you guys. This is my friend Ilia Calderon. Hi, Ilia.
Hola, Ana. Thank you so much for those kind and generous words.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm going to do next time? No news show. We go at the same time and we have wine together.
Right. I think Jorge Ramos can handle it.
Oh, yeah.
He would find it super professional if that's what we tell him.
And he's an amazing supporter. He will say, yeah, go.
Sure. Especially because I was his intern. You probably don't know that.
No. Isn't he amazing?
He's amazing. I remember him telling me, you're not going to meet the brightest people in this field. You're going to meet the most hardworking people. And that's what's important.
And it's true.
And it's absolutely true. All right, my friend, why have you waited this long to say that it's your time to speak?
I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know that after I became a mom, I have one daughter, Anna. She's 7 now. I started feeling more comfortable talking about my inside feelings, my life. And, at one point I wanted to open up about what happened to me because I don't want my daughter to face the same thing that I faced when I faced racism so early in my life. I was between 10 and 11. And I said, we have to do something. What can I do? What can I do to, help change what is not right? To at least, make a small move, but important move towards, changing our society to, a better one, a society where we respect and we tolerate each other.
But the timing is incredible, right? Because we are in the middle of a race awareness that happened because of awful events in our country. I think I always say to people that when I came to the mainland, I became more Puerto Rican. I felt free to express my culture, to speak my language. And you grew up feeling free to be yourself. You grew up in El Chocó in Colombia, which is the population of Afro Latinos is huge. Mm-hmm. And so you were open to express yourself. And when you came to the United States, you felt open to express yourself. And now we find ourselves in a very volatile environment. And that's when you become the first Afro Latina anchor for Spanish news. That's when you meet the head of the KKK face. And that's when, in person. And that's when you decide to speak up. A little dangerous, right?
It was dangerous. But now, Anna, now that you talk about it is timely, it's sadly timely.
It's sadly timely.
Yeah. Because it is 2020 and we are still fighting to try to eradicate racism. It happened to me. It happened to a lot of us. It happened to me in Colombia as well when I moved to a predominantly white city to pursue my education. It's so sad that if I have written this book 5 years ago, it was going to be timely. And sadly, if I decide to write a similar book, or someone writes a book about the same thing, it's going to be timely in 2 years. Things things are not changing. We see like little progress, like very small progress on, more empathy from, other ethnical
Racist,
and
yeah.
racial and races. But not, like, we need to move the society from, that foundation that is racist, that discriminates people for the skin color, for the origin, for the religion.
It's interesting what you were saying, because if you talk to my friends who grew up in the mainland and who are not Latino, they think that there is no racism in Latin America because we're all Latinos, right? They homogenize us. They say, how sometimes everyone says, "Oh, you must be Mexican," and you're like, "No, I'm Puerto Rican. It's different." I'm not offended that you confuse me, which has happened to you, but I'm Colombian. I'm Puerto Rican. It means completely different. And I've had arguments with my mom, because my mom's like, "Oh, pero ese racismo que hay en Estados Unidos, that doesn't exist in Puerto Rico." And you talk about it in your book. And I told her, "Mommy, it does." But what she thinks is exactly what you mentioned. In our countries, we didn't have that systemic racism of the white door, the black door, the white fountain, the black fountain. That's what my mother considered awful. The elimination or the lack of of representation of Afro Latinos, she didn't think that was racist.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Exactly. No, and racism is so, is a big part of the upbringing in families from Argentina to Mexico and all the islands. It is true, but we need to, as a Hispanics, we need to identify that racism. Telling your daughter, do not marry a black guy because you don't want to peinar trencitas toda tu vida, like the dreads, you don't want to deal with dreads all your life. That is a microaggression, and that is racism, right? The fact that when we were growing up, I didn't see anyone like me on TV in Colombia, anyone. And when I come to the United States and I say that I'm Colombian, people were like, are there blacks in Colombia? Are there blacks in Colombia? Why? Because our history has been whitened. Mm-hmm. What Colombia sells in the telenovelas, in the series, on one side is the narco era that we lived, and that they sell as well. But in the telenovelas or shows, you never see a black woman in a main role. I grew up not watching anyone. So people outside, they don't know. They don't know about our history. In Colombia, the only black president in the history of Colombia, his portrayed was hidden for 157 years. And I bet that happened in every storage. Yeah, in a storage, until one former President Santos decided to give him the space and the place he deserved in the presidential house. But it happened with the history of the Black America in every single country. When you, in your textbooks, you see history, they never portrayed a Black family as the family. No, they are white, they are blonde, and that's the perfect family. Mm-hmm. So where are the other families? That is a message telling you that, okay, this is perfection. This is not perfection. This is not good, right? We are trying to hide this because this is not good. They are the employees. They are the slaves that I don't like to call slaves. I call them enslaved. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They have no choice. And then the history of the abolitionists was never talked as important as it is. I knew about a big abolitionist in Colombia, Bencos Viejo, when I was in my teenage years, not in my elementary school. No. And I should have. They should have taught me that. And I should have read that on my textbooks.
But your family did a great job giving you self-esteem. Your family did a great job building your character, making sure that you knew where you came from and who you were, except that your mother, Doña Betty, told you never to be a victim. And the way that you interpreted that was, when there's a racist act committed against me, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm not going to get upset. I'm going to internalize it and move on because I don't want to give it weight. And now, as you get older and you have your own daughter, you're like, wait, that system wasn't working.
Exactly. And at that moment, when that happened, when I was called negro ni mi caballo, black, not even my horse, for that girl.
Which means that she didn't want anything to do with a black anything. It was somebody.
I have a horse, and not even my horse. And nothing black in my life. I have nothing black in my life. And I didn't want to give her the credit of making me feel bad. I have the weight on my shoulders, not because my mom put that weight on my shoulders, but I did myself because I made the decision. I was the one that asked to move to go to another city to pursue my education. So it was my responsibility. And I feel like, okay, I asked for this. This is what I have to face. This is what I have to endure. What am I going to do? Right? It's all on me. So I decided to keep it quiet. I, talk about it with a couple of friends, Monica, I mentioned them, Angela and Olga. And they supported me in an amazing way. And they became my allies. And in a moment where I was like, the only black in my school, knowing and being proud of being black, but at the same time, at that age, you have that identity moment and struggles that you go through. Like, who am I? Do I want to be like them? Do I want to look like them? I'm happy with who I am, right? And yeah, I decided to use any other aggression just to put it. I didn't want anything to get in my way in my purpose to becoming a professional. And writing the book, Anna, I rewrote so many phrases and so many and many chapters, because when I read it after, I was like, I don't know. I sound like a victim. I don't want people to say like, pobrecita. No, I want people to know that this happened to me, that it's wrong, but I don't want the attention on me. I don't want the attention on, oh, poor Ilia, she suffered a lot. It's not that. So in the process of healing, writing the book, 2 years, it took me 2 years to write the book. I rewrote because I was like more comfortable with me and with everything. And I could say and call things by its name and not letting the person that is going to, grab the book in their hands feeling bad for me.
Instead, I felt like you were, it's interesting. I felt like you were always in control.
Yes, kind of.
But I feel like, the way that you dealt with the information, even if you kept quiet, it was a way for you to control what was going on and not giving the perpetrator the power.
The power over me. Yes.
But what killed me is that happened to you when you were 10 and 11, and then it happened to Anna when she was 6 or 4?
She was 4.
To your daughter.
Turned 4, my daughter. Anna, esa frasecita, that phrase that, everybody says like, oh, kids are so cruel. They are not. They repeat what they listen in their houses or from the adults that, from their environment, the school, the oldest brothers, los abuelos.
The YouTube.
YouTube. When you say like, oh, negro tenía que ser, So esas frases es como que, okay, that guy, they are very smart and they just repeat. So the girls that call my daughter blackface, I don't even think they knew. They knew it was an offense because she said they were mean.
Yeah, the tone. Mm-hmm.
But how a 4-year-old knows that is an offense, right? Because they listen. Because when an adult wants to hurt someone or to insult someone and uses a racial slur, that kid will learn is, okay, that is what I'm gonna, that happened. When you are mad, you say this.
It's like curse words. It's like when you say curse words in front of kids, and then you go, "Ay, Dios mío, he used it right where he was supposed to." Well, duh.
Because yeah, exactly.
And you're gonna and I remember that when you heard it, oh my gosh, I love how you described that. You let her explain how it made her feel and how she reacted, because I've had those situations with my kids where I just want to go like, where's that kid? I want to grab that kid by the hair.
Exactly. Right. And the parents, I'm gonna talk to the parents right now.
And let me tell you, my friend, yours is 7, mine is 12, and I've had to control myself already this summer from calling parents, because your first instinct is you hurt her and I was supposed to protect her, which is what you write on that letter to her. But Anna figured it out, and Anna answered, I still want to hang out with them because I think I can turn them good.
I wasn't even expecting that from my daughter. But we made a decision because my husband is Asian. He faced discrimination as well in his life. So we knew it was going to happen, especially, at this moment in the country, in our country, in the United States. And we didn't want to talk about the issue in our house. Mm-hmm. We never mentioned anything until we were forced to by this situation after this happened. So we wanted her to, just express herself and see what the reaction was. And it was amazing because tolerance is what we are teaching here. The others are wrong. You are right. That doesn't mean that you need to be mean to them, right? From your education and from your perspective, they are wrong, you're right. Everything is perfect with the way you look.
Yeah. Oop, you froze on me. Are you still there? There you go.
Do we want to raise a girl that with another aggression? Do we want to raise a girl that, that responds with another aggression? We don't.
No.
We don't. That is not. So from the perspective of tolerance, understanding that the other one is wrong, even if it's, attacking you and hurting you, that person is wrong, not you. So and do not lose control of yourself.
That's a fantastic way to tell her. And I know that you told her too, you got to speak up when these things happen, and you have to let people know how you feel. And you did. And
we have to prepare her, Anna. We have to give her phrases. Yeah, to teach her phrases to respond, because Anna is shy and introverted. She is not the girl that, someone is going to tell her and she's like, No, she's not like that. So we need to give her phrases. So when they say this, you say this. If you find yourself in this situation, just, use this phrase. Ask again, you are being mean, that's not fair, that is not right, you are making me feel bad, that type of talk.
But you still have to prepare the ones that are extroverted, because my 2 little social butterflies need to have that information too. Because they're also advocates, Ilia, and I think you have to train them as advocates, especially now where we're telling people, listen and be advocates and help the people who have no voice or haven't had a voice or haven't had their voice respected. That's how you explain it to these children. And I've told my kids, I may have white skin, but I have an accent and I come from somewhere else. And people can discriminate against your mom, and you wouldn't want that either. So you have to teach your kids to be advocate for others too. And when you were telling her not to stay quiet, when I introduced you, I remember when Univision promoted your interview with what do they call that? The Grand Pumbaa of the KKK. What is their title?
The wizard.
The wizard. See. The wizard. No, because that sounds really legit.
The Imperial Wizard.
See, no, that sounds really legit.
Yeah.
Sí, que eso suena bien creíble. Titulito que se pone el hombre. Anyway, when Univision announced that, I was like, oh my God, what is she doing? Oh my God, this is so scary. And then as you talk about the way he threatened you, and what he said, and that in your head, you're not only getting nervous, but you're afraid, but you decide to confront him.
Yeah. And just to be clear and to clarify, because everybody thinks that Univision was so bad that they sent me to La Boca del Lobo. No,
yeah.
the Univision never sent me. It was an issue that we were discussing, and I said I wanted to do it. I wanted to face hate, to look hate in the eye, and to know what it looks like. That hate is the same one that our Hispanic people and Afro Latinos and African Americans face every single day, every minute out there. It was hard, but I knew I was sitting there as a journalist, and I needed my document. I couldn't lose myself.
No.
I wanted to, like a couple of times, I'm going to be honest. I wanted to stand up and say something or leave. But it was my duty. It was my job. I needed to do it. And it was scary as well. I knew we were four of us, two cameramen, Maria Martinez, producing, she's vice president, and myself. So when I walk out of the car and he is sitting with his wife in the setup that we have with the lights and the chairs, and he looks at me, the only thing I saw in his face was hate. His face turned red, his nostrils open, and he was uncomfortable. He said, like, asking Maria why didn't she tell him I was Black, that I was the first Black person to step in his house, and from there we what everybody saw in that interview. But but it was it's just awful, and you need to confront what is not right. You need to say something. You need to confront their what they call their truth that has no foundation. But the only foundation is hate. And I hear some voices.
I'm working from home.
I do too sometimes.
Exactly.
So it was horrible. It was horrible, but that is the reality we face in this country today. That's the reality.
I also loved everything else that you chose to highlight here. You talk about
not wine, but water. Cheers.
Sí, bueno, ¿verdad? No, yo me porté bien para que después no digan que ando bebiendo aquí en la casa a las 3 de la tarde. So I loved the part, what you decided to highlight. You talk very fondly about your mentors and everyone that supported you through your career, and then stories that impacted you. The hurricane in Puerto Rico, the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. Of course, I'm very partial to all those stories. You made me cry when you said that you went there and you went with the Veterans Affairs liaison, and the Puerto Ricans would tell you, I don't need a hospital bed, give it to somebody else who's in need.
That was that person. I mean, we went, the trees were all over the streets, the highways. So we had to walk actually like around an hour to reach him. And the first thing that he does when he sees us is sing. He was singing. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave his two dogs. He didn't want to leave. And he was, healthy, even though he has diabetes, but he had his medication. And he said, like, someone else needs a bed. I don't need to go. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I love your book. I think I'm Puerto Rican. Puertorriqueña. I'm sorry.
I think so too. I really do, because you grew up listening to salsa from Puerto Rico, and the vibrancy that you grew up with in El Chocó is the colorful and vibrancy that Puerto Ricans have too, because that's how you describe when we had our revolution, if you will, when they
listen to this before we talk about the serious thing. Before I knew what arroz con gandules was, I was singing arroz con gandules. Singing the song.
You guys didn't know.
And I didn't know, arroz con gandules. I didn't know it. Para nosotros es arroz con frijoles o con lentejas.
Además, era fan de Menudo.
Totalmente. Completamente. O sea, de grupo de Menudo, las amigas, el outfit.
El outfit.
Totalmente. Pero when I went to Puerto Rico for the first time, it was 2002. It was 2002. And, it was that feeling like I'm home. I feel home when I go to Puerto Rico. And for me, to me, being on those streets when the power of the people removed the governor, it was amazing to live that moment with Puerto Ricans.
I love that you wrote a book about your experiences. Sometimes I've been told that when we're on TV, people want to hear gossip and people want to hear the behind the scenes. And Ilia, you wrote a book full of dignity and kindness and lecciones. You teach all of us to take advantage of the opportunities and to prepare yourself. Now I'm repeating to people, the opportunities have to be there in order for us to accept them. That's what I read this weekend in this in this book, that you constantly repeat. I had the opportunities and I took advantage, but the opportunities have to be there. You cannot be, for the next 20 years, the only Afro Latino anchor in Spanish news.
It can be two things. You need allies like Pilar. Pilar Vélez was a white girl that said, I'm sorry, but I think we are missing someone in this casting and it's not fair. She's still my friend. She's my ally. And you need decision makers that believe in diversity, that believe that talent goes beyond your skin color, your hair curly, afro, straight, the way you look. We need to have decision makers that really, really, really appreciate talent and smart people over anything else. And the importance of having, of representation on the screen. That girls that look like me, they can see themselves in me. Not like me, that I didn't see anyone. And for me, it was like I never imagined myself on TV because I never saw someone like me.
But other people did, and those were your allies. I appreciate your time. If you could tell people what they will learn from your book, what would you say?
Tolerance. It's never too late and never too early to talk to your kids about racism. It's not a one sit-down conversation. You have to take many opportunities and take advantage of any opportunity to talk to your kids about racism, and as you said, is to grow compassionate kids, allies of the ones that can't or don't have a voice. So it is a book that I wrote with all my heart. I'm healed. I'm okay, and now I need to fight for more girls like me to be on TV, to be on the screen, to be in our industry, and to just open opportunities for minority.
I know. Ilia, it was a pleasure to meet you, even if it was this way.
Te quiero, gracias.
Que estés bien, te quiero. Te espero conocerte en persona algún día.
Esperamos vernos pronto. Sí,
Ay, sí. Cuídate.
Bueno, un beso. Bye. Ciao.
Have a great show. So that was Ilia Calderon, everybody. Her book is called Es mi turno, or My Time to Speak. Thank you, Metiche, for controlling yourself. Ilia could hear you. Come here. Ilia could hear you talking. Yeah. He always needs a little cameo. See, she's saying hello right there. You can get her book on Amazon and leave her a comment. Leave me a comment. What did you think about our Wednesday wine? Thank you so much to Ilia Calderon. And we will see you next week.